one of those?
The state breaks it down to 3 categories. It's
Okay.
either avian, reptile, or mammal.
Okay.
So I chose mammal. That's what I'm most familiar with, most comfortable with. And then when you choose mammal, you get. Sorry. Cat interruption.
We have a little kitty here. Today I am here at the Antler Ridge Wildlife Sanctuary with Kelly Simonetti. And Kelly, you are the founder of Antler Ridge, correct?
Yes.
And how many years ago did you open?
We opened the sanctuary in 2002. We bought the property and really just bought it as a place for us to live, but I love the animals, and then one thing led to another, and now we have a wildlife sanctuary.
Well, that's usually how it works, when you have a love for animals, and I love animals, and if I had the property, my husband would be in the same boat as your husband, but obviously he goes with it.
Well, we've been married a long time, so he does go with it, and I give him a title. He's Waste and Water Management, which makes him important. So when he has a title to work here at the sanctuary, he embraces it as part of it.
Oh, that's great. So did you go for training? How did you get started with that part of it?
So, yes. So my background is I'm a registered nurse, so I've always been a caregiver. I loved animals all my life, so I did volunteer at lots of organizations while I was working.
Okay.
And then when we moved up here, it just seemed more logical of a progression of wildlife. In the state of New Jersey, you do have to have a license to do what we do.
To do what you do, okay.
So I had to go to a full year's worth of training, of wildlife training, handling the species and safety and disease control and everything. And then you have a choice to open up a sanctuary. So at that time I decided it was the right thing to do, and we opened it up on a small scale, and the state comes and inspects you, and every year you have to be recertified and take ongoing classes to maintain your license.
Your certification or whatever. What is the largest animal you have had to rehabilitate here?
So well, large is relative to what comes in at the time, if it is. So the range goes from mice to bears.
It does.
So we cover everything in that range. So yes, a bear is the largest species that we have, but when they come in, they're obviously small. So the bears come in at maybe 3 to 5 pounds, and then we'll rehabilitate them up to 120 pounds, and then they're released. So that, size is kind of relative.
Okay, so relative, okay. And what is the smallest? If you want to,
if there is a smallest, the smallest to come in has been a very tiny mouse that was probably just born, and I don't think anybody in the facility could even see where its mouth or its eyes were because it was so tiny.
Wow.
And that's really difficult to rehabilitate at that point in time.
Now today we were fortunate, we got to see some squirrels, and they are 10 days?
Those squirrels were 10 days old.
10 days old. And oh my God, are they precious. That is just amazing. Their eyes aren't even open yet. And we are actually now, we're talking about coming back for the release of those particular squirrels, which is going to be very exciting. But I would be willing, I would love to even come back for maybe the release of the fox, or, whatever you feel.
There's many species that we'll take in. They'll all come in at various sizes, ages. And the raccoons are obviously the funniest because their little hands will open and do everything. They have the best expression. The fawns are the sweetest. They are obviously don't hurt you or don't, as babies, and they have those big eyes, and everybody just loves them to death.
Just can't,
But a year later, when your tulips are blooming and they are now adults, and they eat all your tulips, they're not so cute at that point.
They're not so cute at that point.
But whenever we have something that is releasable, and our goal is to release everything, obviously. That's our long-term goal. Now, having said that, when we are getting tiny little raccoons or little possums out of Newark or out of, very, very urban types of city areas, it's almost impossible to put them back. So as babies, and if we get 1 or 2, we try to make a unit or a family unit, so we may take several together and put them together, which is then tough. Where do you release it to? So we try to release to the county that has the least opportunity for collision in the future, and is the best for them to survive.
Okay.
But if a junior came in or a young adult came in, we would put that animal back to where it came from.
Okay.
So, for example, the opossum that we have in there is really a city opossum.
Okay.
He was born in Newark. He knows how to run the sewers in Newark.
Oh, wow.
And he knows how to garbage pick.
Wow.
He really
Wow.
doesn't know how to hunt
Right.
and dig out of streams.
Right.
So we have to take that into consideration. And so the survivability of that animal would be much better
Right.
back in the city
Right.
environment than the country
Then the
environment.
country. Interesting.